If you take that into work, your colleagues are going to tell you to quit the job and just bring them food every day. They're going to pay you to bring them this for every day for dinner. That's how good that is. My first ever high protein meal prep got over 5.5 million views. I always say, whenever I do a new one, that I want this one to beat that one. I don't know if it will, but I think the recipes are better. On the menu today, we are going to be making a barbecue meatloaf that is protein packed, very nutritious and damn right tasty. We're also going to be doing a chickpea tuna with jacket potato, and we are going to be doing an incredible Indian lentil dal with tofu chicken. There's a lot on the menu today. I'm going to break it down and make it really easy for you to follow. The full written recipe is on my website, don't forget that. And also you can find copies of my new cookbook, Plants Only Kitchen, there too. Anyway, the first thing I'm going to prepare is the barbecue meatloaf. So what I'm going to do is finally chop up some portobello mushrooms, or you can just throw them in the blender if you want at home, and get them sauteing in my pan for about 5 minutes until they've released all the liquid and have got really nice and golden. So to enable me to call this meatloaf, it has to taste meaty, and that's why I'm cooking these mushrooms for about 4 to 5 minutes until they've got golden, released all their really earthy, rich flavors. And the meatloaf, out of the 3 recipes I'm making today, is the longest one, so I'm going to get that out of the way first. Once it's in the oven, I can start preparing the other dishes, and that's a good way to make sure your meal preps are cooked efficiently and you're not in the kitchen all day long on a Sunday before the start of a week, for example. When the mushrooms release their liquid and gone golden, add some onion, garlic, red pepper, dried sage, rosemary, thyme and cayenne pepper. And I'm also going to add some salt and pepper. That's going to bring out all the flavors. Seasoning is so important. Even in your meal preps, take pride in it. When you take your meal prep to work, you're going to get people, work colleagues, checking out what it is, and maybe the smell of your amazing vegan meal prep will encourage a few of your non-vegan co-workers to try out these recipes too. You can send them the link to this video. So now that I got a lovely colour on everything, I'm going to add some cooked sweet potato and get some colour on that before adding some chopped walnuts. A can of chickpeas, I'm using some black chickpeas today, and some breadcrumbs. So the flavours in here at the minute are quite earthy, they're very rich, bold. This is protein packed now. We've got chickpeas, we've got the walnuts, sweet potato for that substantialness, and it's full of such good vitamins and minerals too. And I want to freshen this up, so I'm going to add some lemon zest now and give it a good mix up. I'm going to use my wooden spoon, but you can use like an old-fashioned masher just to mash this, get the chickpeas crushed and the sweet potatoes crushed, and then we're going to put it into our loaf tin. I got this fancy one, and we're going to compact it in as much as possible. If your loaf tin isn't non-stick, just line it with some grease-proof paper to stop the meatloaf from sticking once it's cooked. So this has got to go in the oven now for about 40 minutes on your bottom shelf. So let it cook through. In the meantime, I'm going to make a really nice barbecue glaze to coat this once it's cooked. Which will only take a couple of minutes, so I'll start on my lentil dal after doing the glaze. So for the barbecue sauce glaze, I've got some tomato ketchup in my saucepan. I'm going to add some English mustard, some balsamic vinegar, smoked paprika, soy sauce, coconut sugar or any sugar of your choice, cumin, garlic powder, allspice and a pinch of salt and pepper. And you're just going to want to heat that over a low heat until all of the flavours are infused, ready to coat over the meatloaf once it's cooked. Let that cook away for a little bit. Meanwhile, let's prepare the lentil dal with tofu chicken. I'm going to be using some split pea lentils, the red ones, which I'm just going to rinse off, then get them into a saucepan filled with water just above it, about an inch above, I'm gonna add a chili and some ginger and a clove of garlic into the pan with them and just bring that to a simmer and let them simmer away until they're cooked, which usually takes about 12 to 15 minutes. Now, whilst the lentils are cooking, I'm gonna make this really beautiful curry, like a masala sauce essentially. So first up, I'm gonna get some oil in the pan and get some spices cooking. Add a cinnamon stick, some fennel seeds and mustard seeds to the pan to slightly toast off. Meanwhile, chop up an onion as fine as possible. So the mustard seeds are popping, the fennel seeds are toasting. That's just them letting their flavors loose into the oil. So we're gonna add the onion now, and that's gonna soak up all of that flavor. So to the pan, I'm gonna add some chili powder, ground turmeric, ground fenugreek, ground coriander, and ground cumin. Oh, it smells so good. Love fenugreek. I'm just gonna chop up some garlic now, just a few cloves, and get it into the pan. I'm gonna add a pinch of salt and half up a chili and throw that in as well. I love Indian cuisine so much. I love the array of spices. So much variety, and I've been studying it for quite a while now. Oh, my lentils are bubbling. So I try and just put my take on the recipe. So they're never authentic, but I just try and do my absolute best to make them as good as possible with the ingredients that I've got. So for the base of this style, the sauce anyway, it's really important that you cook out your onions for a long time and get them to release all their sweetness. You never want to add your liquids too soon. So next to the pan, I'm going to chop up 3 tomatoes. I'm going to add those and also some tomato puree, which is going to add this real richness and vibrancy to the dal. So my lentils are cooked and I'm going to get those added to this now. And you want to reserve some of the water that the lentils were cooked in, because that's going to help make this saucy, as if just like pasta water. When you're cooking pasta and you're making a sauce, you would add some of the pasta water to the sauce. That starchy water is going to help thicken up this dal as well. Alright, so that's the dal basically done. I'm just going to add a touch of vegan cream. You can get it all good supermarkets these days, or use non-dairy milk, a creamy one like cashew or pea milk. And then I'll pop a lid on and put it over a low heat just to bubble away for about 15 to 20 minutes. And in the meantime, I'm just going to finish off my meatloaf. That smells good. So here's the nerve-wracking part of the meal prep. Getting this... So here's the nerve-wracking part of the... So here's the nerve-wracking part of the... So here's the nerve-wracking part of the meal prep. Getting the meatloaf out of the loaf dish. Let's see if I can do it. Of course it comes out, because I greased it. Grease-proofed it. Of course it will come out. Ta-da! Look at that. Perfect meal prep. That can be cut into several portions and frozen if you want to. But what we're going to do for the meal prep, it's now time to glaze it up with that amazing barbecue sauce that we made. I'll get some cherry tomatoes on top and I'll put it in the oven for a further 12 minutes just for that sauce to really caramelize around it. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh, look at that barbecue glaze. Yes, coat it all in that, and we'll get some tomatoes on top now. Whilst that's in the oven, I'm going to make the chickpea tuna, which we're going to serve with jacket potatoes, and make the tofu chicken. Very simple recipe, that's why I left it to the last one. All you need to do is get some nori. This is the stuff that wraps up sushi, basically. It's got that taste of the sea flavor and it's really nutritious. It's a great source of iodine for us vegans. So I'm gonna get this blitzed up to a powder-like consistency, really, in my blender. Next to the blender, add some cooked chickpeas. You just want to pulse them a few times just so they're crushed. You do not want to make them into a paste, otherwise it's more like fishy hummus. Okay, so now you've got to treat this chickpea nori mixture as you would if you were making tuna mayo. So I'm going to finely chop some spring onions, and then I'm going to mix the spring onions with the chickpeas and the nori with some mayonnaise, some malt vinegar, which adds that really sort of nostalgic tuna mayo flavor, and also some salt and pepper. And for me, it wouldn't be tuna mayo without adding a can of sweet corn. And look at that, doesn't that look like tuna mayo? And does it smell like it? It does smell like tuna mayo, actually. That's really interesting. This recipe is actually in my cookbook Plants Only Kitchen, as well as the meatloaf recipe too. Both protein packed and both perfect for meal prep. So, almost time to serve up. The meatloaf is done, the dal is done. The one thing I just want to do is make my tofu chicken, which takes a couple of minutes in a non-stick pan. I got a shout out to my dad, my vegan dad, who makes this tofu chicken recipe all the time. He gave it to me, and you can see me cooking with my dad in a whole series we did together, including making his incredible vegan meatballs, which are also high protein. If you want to add that into meal prep, then you should. Anyway, for the tofu chicken, what you need to do is get a non-stick pan placed over a medium heat, add a touch of oil, and then when the pan is hot, crumble in the tofu. And you really want to cook it for as long as possible so that it gets really nice and golden and crisp. During the cooking, I'll sprinkle over some garam masala to keep in theme with the Indian flavors that we're going for the dal. And I'm also going to add some cayenne pepper and a touch of soy sauce, which will give it that meaty umami flavor. And look at that, that looks like chicken really. That's so meaty, it's really nice and crisp around the edges, and when you bite into it, it'll be so meaty because of that firm tofu and the way we just cooked it and cooked it and cooked it. And that tofu's got 17 grams of protein per 100 grams, so amazing source of vegan protein. And it's time to serve up now. Lentil dal's done, the meatloaf's done, chicken's done, tuna's done. Let's serve up. Oh wow. Oh yes, 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 yes. The barbecue sauce is caramelized right around it. Crispy sage, optional garnish there. So here's the jacket potatoes for my chickpea tuna. I just cooked these in the oven for about an hour. You can use sweet potato too if you prefer. And just to garnish the chickpea tuna, I'm just going to sprinkle over some chopped chives, some cherry tomatoes and some pumpkin seeds, because I like to get seeds on as many things as possible really, just because they're so good for you on my breakfast. On all meals really, pumpkin seeds are my favourite. How good does that chickpea tuna look? It's now time to plate up the dal. I've got some wild rice that I've just cooked off, or wild rice and basmati rice. Use whatever rice you like. And I'm going to top it with the lentil dal and the tofu chicken. Let's go. I'm also going to garnish the dal with a slice of lime, some black onion seeds and a spoonful of mango chutney. So the meatloaf, you probably get 4 to 6 servings out of this when you serve it with like potatoes and veg and stuff like that. But for the meal prep, I'm just going to cut this into 3 big portions, and you've already got the sweet potato in there. It's quite complete really. I'm just going to serve it with a bit of a side salad. This vegan meatloaf doesn't break apart when you cut it. Look at that perfect slice. I am so flipping excited to try this. First up, I'm gonna try that chickpea tuna jacket. Here it goes. The majority of flavors when you have tuna mayo usually is the sort of taste of the sea flavor, the sweet corn's quite overpowering, and the onioniness. And this is hitting all the spots because of the nori. The texture of the chickpeas blitzed up like that is really similar to tuna as well. So it's really, really impressive. And that's a great, you know, lunchtime meal. Maybe even, I guess you could have it for breakfast too if you wanted to, or a brunch or something. But that's a great part of the meal prep there. I'm really happy with that. I'm gonna try now the lentil dal with the tofu chicken, which I'm so excited to taste. Look at that. That was unbelievable. If you take that into work, your colleagues are going to tell you to quit the job and just bring them food every day. They're going to pay you to bring them this for every day for dinner. That's how good that is. The chicken is mind-blowing. My dad, thank you for this. Look at that. Look how much I'm chewing. It's chickeny. All right, and the meatloaf, the nice evening meal, which you could serve with rice if you wanted to as well, or another carb if you liked. Let's give this a taste. Oh, that's a big old mouthful there. I know I get really excited about my own cooking, but I just love food, I love flavors, I love putting things together and it resulting in something impressive. And if you can make this for meal prep, just shows that meal prep doesn't have to be boring. This has taken me about an hour and 15, an hour and 20 minutes to do in total, and that's whilst filming. So if you weren't filming and you were really efficient, you could probably do it in an hour and a half, hour and 15 too. And don't forget, you can get my cookbook Plants Only Kitchen from my website or Amazon or all good bookshops. It's full of simple protein packed recipes, so please go and grab that now. I'll catch you soon with a new video, and I hope you enjoyed this meal prep, and I hope you make some of the recipes, even if you just make one of them. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and comment. Restaurant news on my website. Goodbye guys.